In today's episode, it's going to be all about this, the Kia EV9. There's been tons of talk online, noise on social media. This car has won tons of awards. The Women's Worldwide Car of the Year, the What Car Best EV, and Top Gear as well. Now, I've driven all of the Kia EV9s. I was lucky enough to go to the UK launch of this in Scotland at Inverness. That was great fun. And there is one trim level that stands out to me. And that's what I wanted to do today's video, because I want to share with you guys why this is the only EV9 you guys should be getting. I'm going to compare all the trim levels, but I think you're going to like what I say, and I want to know your genuine thoughts as well. All right, so come with me and I'm going to tell you why this EV9 is the best one to get. So there are three trim levels. You've got the Air, which this is, the GT Line and the GT Line S. On your screen right now, we will put what each trim level comes with. I want to talk to you about what cool standard features that you get in this Air trim. So let's go through them. Heated and ventilated seats, front and back, and heated steering wheel. Top quality rear camera with 360 view. Power tailgate, wireless phone charger, two 12.3-inch digital infotainment screens. I believe there is a digital key as standard, so you can open and lock the car using your phone. Privacy glass with a blind. Remote parking, where you move the car controlling the key. In the top trim levels, the GT Line, GT Line S, you can move it back and forward from the key fob. On the Air trim, you actually get a 1-year subscription free. 3-pin plug outlet. Let's talk about charging. Now I want to get this right, so I've got my notes. It's a 99.8 kilowatt hour battery on all the trims. Now the charging max for this is 238 kilowatts. It's got 800 volt charging capability. Now 3-pin plug in here, listen to this. 10 to 100%, 40 hours and 35 minutes. That's what I would get because I don't have a wall plug. Now it hasn't got 7 kilowatts, which I'm guessing it's going to be too long. 11 kilowatts it does have, 10 to 100%, 9 hours and 5 minutes. So if you've only got a 7 kilowatt one, you're probably looking at 12 hours, over 12 hours. We've got a 50 kilowatt, 10 to 80%, 50 kilowatts, 1 hour and 23 minutes. And here we go. If you find a 350 kilowatt fast charge, 10 to 80%, you can do it in 24 minutes. With the Kia EV9 Air, it's rear wheel drive. We've got 200 brake horsepower, 350 Newton meters of torque, very different to the 378 brake horsepower and the 700 Newton meters of torque you get with the GT lines. Now with the GT Line S that I had, the all-wheel drive version, I found it had a lot of go. It was a lot of kick. I think it was like 5.3 seconds 0 to 62, where this does 9.4 seconds. So what I'm looking for is, because this is rear wheel drive, is this going to be a little bit more sluggish on the UK roads, on the country roads, on the A roads? What's it going to be like? The GT Line S was really super smooth and it just had that performance. So I want to see how this Kia EV9 Air copes. Okay, I've got a bit of a B road here. We're going to see how this big beast handles. Now, the steering's good. I've got it in sport mode, so it's stiffened up the steering just a little bit, but normally the steering's lovely and light, very easy to maneuver. And this is when you start feeling that mass of the car just being thrown around. You don't want to go too fast in this car, but it still has that ability when you need it to just give the pedal a bit of a jab and feel what it's like round these corners. And it's good, you can still have fun with this car, but this is on the B road. Again, it's still really smooth. This isn't the best of roads, but the car is still taking up those lumps and bumps. And I'm kind of driving it a bit like a rally car at the moment, and it's doing everything I need it to. And I think that's a great little reference and case study there of the car, this big car. I've completely forgotten I'm in a massive, almost like van. I'm forgotten there, going around those corners. This car's handling and just having great fun really with it. Okay, I've been singing this car's praises, but I've got a couple of negatives, and it's the same in the GT Line S. This 5.1 digital infotainment bit here with the temperature control, you can't really see it through the steering wheel. The steering wheel literally just completely blocks it off. You kind of have to reach around and then press the shortcuts for those buttons. However, there are separate climate controls right here, so that kind of negates that. Also, there's this camera that constantly looks at you, and if your eyes aren't looking dead ahead, it will tell you to stop for a coffee or beep, thinking you're doing some sort of erratic driving. That is annoying. There isn't any panoramic sunroof on the Air. Now, That's quite a big thing as well, because it's a big car, and with the panoramic sunroof you get with the GT lines, they allow light to just pour in, filling up the cabin, making it a little bit more, less stuffy. But it's not on the air. But again, you're saving yourself probably £11,000 difference from the top trim level, £8,000 difference from the GT line. But yeah, those are my little negatives I have, and I just wanted to share them with you. Let's have a little look at the exterior of this Kia EV9, because it is bold and it is incredible. I always think this would be something you would take on the moon, like one of those moon buggies. It's really boxy, which makes it very practical inside, like tons of space. This one's the air trim, right? So we've got these 19-inch rims. I think they're pretty cool. Big sidewall, super comfy. With the GT line and the GT Line S, they come with 21s. So this adds a little bit more comfort in terms of the smaller tyres. You've got these door handles, which are great. Come around the back. Now the lights are very interesting. I think this is like a lobster claw. Every time I see, let me know what you think this looks like, guys, in the comments, because I always see a lobster claw, especially at night. Got a little bit of a spoiler here coming back with these gorgeous creases. The back is a bit of a talking point. I've heard some people say they don't like the back as much as everything else. Privacy glass as well, which is great, which is standard. How many manufacturers charge you 500 quid just for privacy glass? And then the front of the car is great. You've got these cool little cube LEDs here in this like tower stack. Very minimalistic with the like tiger nose signature grille there. Overall, what they've done is very simple. The geometry lines are sharp and angular. It's got a bit of aggression to it, but everybody seems to say it's a good looking car. So I'd love to know what you guys think. Kia EV9, is it a good looking car? Yes or no in the comments. One little thing actually I forgot to mention, which is really handy, is the blind vision monitor. You get them standard, because in other Kias you normally have to go for a top spec to get these included, which is very handy, and it's definitely saved the lives of a lot of cyclists when I've been driving anyway. Now, what I want to talk to you about is suspension and handling, because when I drove the Kia GT Line S up in Inverness, I pretty much drove the whole of Scotland. I drove it everywhere, because the next day we had to go to another airport, so I got some decent miles and I got a good feeling of my bottom of how that car made me feel. And it was really comfortable. It was really smooth. Handling was great. There's a number of modes you can change as well, which we'll go through them. You've got sport, more acceleration, more responsive accelerator. You've got My Drive, where you can set up certain things. We'll show you some B-roll of that. You can pretty much just change the responsiveness of the accelerator and the stiffness of the steering. Then you've got snow on this one. Now, comparing it to the GT lines, which are all-wheel drive, you have a terrain mode, which you don't have with the Air. I don't think you need all-wheel drive living in the UK. We don't really get a lot of snow, unless you are someone that loves going off-road, or you live on a farm and you go, or a big kind of steep hill you live. You know if you need all-wheel drive, but the majority of us kind of get suckered into thinking, oh, we need all-wheel drive. And that's why this Air trim's so interesting, because being rear-wheel drive, you're getting more miles of range, right? 349 miles of range. And it's also on 19 inches of the wheels you get. So you get a nice thick rubber sidewall on your tyre. The GT lines get 21 inches. And although that car was really smooth, I think this Air trim, however marginal it is, it's just a little bit more comfy. Comfier even. I'm on the A road at the moment, and it is just so smooth. There's no noise around me either. It's raining today, it's pretty wet, but I just can't get over how quiet the cabin is. Okay, so I'm going to get in the third row, show you how easy it is to get in, or hard. I'm a 5'11" manly guy. Let's go. So you've got a bit of a gap. Pretty easy to get in, wouldn't you say? Comfy seats, but look at my headroom. As we spoke about earlier, the boxy design, it does give you quite a bit of headroom. You've got cup holders here, you've got USB-C charging ports, and also you've got these buttons which recline your seat, which is super handy. So I can actually lean back. I've got a bit of play with the seats. And look, vents. I think this is so cool, just like what you get on airplanes. A little bit of ventilation, let some air in so it doesn't feel so stuffy. Okay, we're going to talk about knee room. So if you just drop the camera down, that's my knee room at the moment, and you can see how much space you've got for the second row. Now the third row seats don't actually slide, but these do slide. So let's keep bringing it back just a little bit to see. All right, that's the next clicker. So that's my knee room now. I can lean back, and that's the space you would get in the second row seat. If we glide it all the way back as far as it will go, let's see what it's like. Don't worry, I don't need my knees. Can you grab that and slide it? And let's see what we get. All the way, oh my goodness. Okay, so my knees are firmly touching the second row at the moment. They've got tons of space. So you wouldn't want to sit like this, so you would need to have it a little bit forward than this. But I think that kind of shows and references how much space you have here in the third row. Now, we spoke about comfort levels and the car being smooth. I've got Adam with me today, and I really want to know what it's like for him back in that second row. Adam?
Okay, so I want to give you my verdict of the back seats, and I mean, Ollie's been in the rear seats. There's actually a whole other row behind me, which is really cool. But in here, what I'm actually really impressed with is just the sheer size of the doors. It might sound like a really small thing, but look at the size of the doors. It makes accessibility really easy, and especially if you've got kids, car seats, I think that would make a really big difference. The blinds also give it a nice sort of comfortable vibe. It's a nice feature to have, especially if you're driving on this bright sun outside. Just to pop that blind up is a really nice little touch. What I do want to show you is up here, you've actually got your own climate control for the back, which is really nice. You can set your own temperature, fans, all of that stuff, which is really good. You've got vents in the ceiling up here, which is another really nice feature. The rear bench itself is actually on a slider, so you can slide forward and back, which is quite nice. You can get a little bit more leg room if you've got no one in the back seats, because you don't want to cut the legs off. A couple more things I want to show you. Front seats look a bit odd. I'm not really sure what this headrest option is. There's some netting here, which I'm not really sure if I'm a fan, to be honest. You can sort of see through it, but to me it just looks like it will probably just break at some point. Heated and ventilated seats in the back. What a dream that is for a standard trim on the car. It's a really nice feature. You've also got USBs, which are accessible down here on the side of the seats here, and on your front seat. Let me show you. Hang on one sec. Down here, you can actually sort of play with the person in front of you's seat a little bit, which could be quite annoying, but it depends how much of a child you are. Other than that, nice bit of ambient lighting in the doors here. The doors look quite good. Seating wise, they're really comfortable. I'd say the ride itself is actually quite comfortable. Like, it's quite soft. It seems to glide over the bumps really easily. So no complaints there.
Let's talk about boot space with the Kia EV9. We've got 333 litres of space here. What I love is there's a space for the parcel shelf in there as well. Knock these seats down, which you can do, which will get you 828 litres of boot space. Come and look at this though. Standard in all trims. This is the Air. You've got a 3-pin plug outlet. Very handy. And these buttons here, if you can... Oh, that was the second row. It slammed down pretty hard, didn't it? Let's look at the third row here. So these are the third row. If I press that once, it'll go forward. Press it again, comes back. And then this button here does the left side. Super handy. There's also a little button over here, a little flap. Lift that up. And if you press and hold this button, if you're stuck in the boot, it'll lift and open the power tailgate. One of the cool things with the Air trim with the Kia EV9 is that you actually get more frunk space. And this is deep. This is a huge deep hole. That is 90 litres of space in here. And you can fit quite a lot of stuff, to be fair. There's a little bit of gubbins in here already. I think that's the VTL loader for charging other appliances. Now with the GT Line S models and the GT Line model, because they're all-wheel drive, an electric motor sits on this front axle, so you only get 52 litres of boot space. So 90 litres is a lot more practical than 52. Okay, let's do a launch. Rear-wheel drive. Let's put it in sport mode. They say 9.4 seconds. Let's feel, okay. Oh, it's a big car. It's going all red. I like that. It's taking a while. Okay, and that's 60. So it is different and less performance than the all-wheel drive. I mean, that's quick in terms of how big it is, the mass. So 5.3 seconds to 9.4. However, I still think that is more than enough for the UK roads. You'll have to let me think. You'll have to let me think? You'll have to let me know what you think, guys. But I think that's enough. Let's talk about the interior. Really minimalistic, but also sustainable. Kia have got the 10 must-have sustainability materials. A lot of manufacturers now, they love reusing fishnets, recyclable fishnets, PET bottles, you name it. We'll put on your screen Kia's 10 must-have sustainability materials because they come in all of the different trim levels in the interior. Another thing, it's completely leather-free, which some manufacturers do, but until we stop eating meat, I think let's still use the hides, right? Let's still make use of leather. Leather's still a sustainable material as long as you're using the cow to eat it as well. I love a bit of leather on my skin. I'd love to know what you think, guys, because I know a lot of manufacturers aren't including leather, but what's your views on it? Let me know in the comments. So that has been our review on the GT line Air trim, and in my opinion, the Air trim is the only trim level in the Kia EV9 to get. It's cheaper. You get more miles of range, 349 miles of range compared to the 313 miles of range. Do you really need all-wheel drive? I don't think you do. If you are going off-roading and you want that all-wheel drive functionality, then sure, spend a little bit more money. But remember, the Air trim is £11,000 cheaper than the GT line S. It's £8,000 cheaper than the GT line trim. It's more practical too. Remember, you've got more front space in this car as well. It's still smooth. In fact, a little bit smoother, I think, in the Air trim than the GT line S. Anyway, let us know what you think about the Kia EV9. Would you get the Air trim? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, throw us a like if you like the episode. Get a sub to Car Chat TV, and I'll see you on the next one. If you've made it this far, thank you ever so much for watching. I've just popped up 2 more videos on your screen that you also may like. If you do watch one, let me know what you think.